The morning sun stretched lazily across the skyline, tinting the city streets with golden hues. The air was crisp, filled with the aroma of fresh bread from the bakery on the corner and the faint hum of traffic beginning its daily rhythm. It was just another ordinary Tuesday in Brooklyn, or so it seemed. But sometimes, ordinary days hide extraordinary ripples, and one small act can set off a chain reaction no one ever anticipates. It began with a boy named Ethan, no older than 10, struggling to pick up the notebooks that had spilled from his worn-out backpack. He had been late leaving home, rushing through breakfast, and in his hurry, the zipper had given way. Papers scattered across the sidewalk, fluttering like restless birds. An older man in a suit, already late for his meeting, slowed down. His instinct was to keep walking after all. New York never waited for anyone. But then, he caught the boy's helpless expression. Something tugged at his conscience. With a sigh, he bent down, scooped up a few sheets, and helped Ethan gather his belongings. "There you go, champ," the man said, zipping the backpack as best he could. "Hold it tight, or it'll spill again." Ethan smiled wide, relief flooding his face. "Thanks, mister." The man didn't realize it then, but his decision to stop, though seemingly small, had already nudged the world in a better direction. Not far from where Ethan stood, Claire, a young waitress with tired eyes, was carrying a tray of steaming coffee toward a table near the window. She had been working double shifts to save up for college courses. Balancing 3 cups on the tray was no easy task, and when her ankle twisted slightly, the hot liquid sloshed dangerously. The suited man, who had just entered the cafe copyright for a quick espresso, noticed her stumble. Without hesitation, he reached out and steadied the tray before disaster struck. "You okay?" he asked gently. Claire let out a shaky breath. "I would have been in trouble if I dropped this." "Thank you." "No problem. We've all had mornings like that," he said with a small smile. The kindness lingered in her heart. For a girl who often felt invisible behind trays and menus, it meant more than she could put into words. Later that day, Claire served a construction worker named Luis, who came in dusty from a long morning on site. He ordered only a black coffee and paid in cash. Claire noticed his rough hands, the dirt under his nails, and the fatigue in his eyes. When she brought back his change, she slipped a single-dollar bill into the tip jar from her own pocket. "Coffee's on the house today," she said warmly. Luis blinked, surprised. "Really? You don't have to." "I want to," she insisted. He left the cafe copyright with a lighter heart. That dollar meant little to Claire in the long run, but to Luis, it was a reminder that people still cared. On his way to the bus stop, Luis noticed an elderly woman struggling with 2 grocery bags, one of which had split open, spilling apples onto the sidewalk. People walked past, too busy or too preoccupied to notice. Luis put down his coffee cup, jogged over, and gathered the apples. "Here, let me help," he offered, taking one of the bags from her hands. The woman's eyes softened. "That's kind of you, dear. These bags are heavier than I thought." Luis walked with her until they reached her apartment building, making sure she got inside safely. She thanked him, pressing his hand with genuine gratitude. As he left, Luis felt a strange warmth in his chest, the kind that comes only from giving without expecting anything back. The elderly woman, Mrs. Green, later sat on a bench in the park to catch her breath. Across the path, she noticed a young woman sitting alone, tears streaking her cheeks as she clutched a photograph. Mrs. Green hesitated, but then she reached into her shopping bag and pulled out a daisy she had bought for herself. She walked over, placed the flower gently in Sophie's hand, and whispered, "You're not alone, dear." Sophie looked up, startled, then broke into a small, grateful smile. The flower wasn't much, but it felt like a lifeline in a sea of sorrow. Later that afternoon, Sophie, still carrying the daisy, stopped by a bench downtown to wipe her eyes. She noticed a wallet lying abandoned on the seat. Picking it up, she saw a driver's license inside belonging to a teenager named Daniel. Instead of leaving it, she went out of her way to find the address listed on the ID. When she arrived, Daniel opened the door in a panic. "My wallet. I thought I'd never see it again." Sophie handed it to him with a soft smile. "Be more careful, okay?" Daniel, overwhelmed with relief, nodded, "Thank you so much." As Sophie walked away, The weight of her grief felt a little lighter. Helping someone else had stitched a small patch onto her broken heart. Daniel later went out to ride his bike with friends. Along the way, he saw a man in a wheelchair stuck at the curb. The man's grocery bag had fallen to the ground, and his wheelchair's chain had slipped loose. Other kids were laughing nearby, but Daniel felt compelled to help. "Hold on, sir," Daniel said, hopping off his bike. He picked up the groceries and fiddled with the chain until it locked back into place. The man smiled broadly. "You've got good hands, kid." Not many would stop to help. Daniel grinned, feeling proud. He pedaled away, unaware that he was carrying forward the very same kindness Sophie had shown him hours before. That evening, the man in the wheelchair, Mr. Harris, boarded the subway. A young woman struggled to hold onto a pole while balancing her baby stroller. The train jolted suddenly, and she nearly lost her grip. Mr. Harris quickly steadied the stroller with his strong arms. "Got it?" he reassured her. "Thank you," the mother exclaimed. "Don't mention it," he said with a wink. Her gratitude stayed with her as she got off at her stop, carrying both her baby and the renewed faith that people still looked out for one another. The young mother, Elena, later stopped by a convenience store. Outside, she noticed a boy sitting on the curb with a broken backpack at a zipper dangling uselessly, papers spilling out. It was Ethan, the same boy who had started the day with trouble on the sidewalk. Elena crouched down, pulling an extra safety pin from her purse. With gentle fingers, she pinned the backpack shut so it wouldn't burst open again. "There you go, sweetheart. That should hold until you get home." Ethan's eyes lit up. "Thank you." As she walked away, Elena smiled. She had no idea that the kindness she had received on the subway had now circled back to the very boy whose struggle had started the chain earlier that morning. The boomerang had returned. All of this happened in a single day. Ordinary people, in ordinary moments, making choices that seemed insignificant at the time. A businessman helping a boy with his backpack, a waitress steadying her tray, a construction worker offering his hands, an old woman giving away a flower, a grieving girl returning a wallet, a teenager fixing a wheelchair, a man steadying a stroller, and a mother mending a broken zipper. Each act was small. None of them made headlines or changed the world in grand, visible ways, but together, they created an invisible thread of humanity weaving through the city, binding strangers together with compassion. Kindness doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's as quiet as a dollar slipped into a jar, a flower pressed into a palm, a pin securing a broken zipper. Yet, like a stone cast into still water, the ripples stretch farther than we can ever imagine. One day, one act, one choice. This is how kindness moves. This is how it always comes back.